Hi, Sujata. Good evening.
Hello, hi. Very good evening. How are you?
Can you
I
see
can
me?
see you. Can you see
I'm
me?
fine, thank you. Yes,
Okay.
very clear. Welcome to reInvent. We're happy to
Thank you
have
so
you.
much and thanks for having me.
Okay, so that's a very nice background you have.
I love Ganesha.
Okay.
I need his blessing,
Yes,
so
okay.
yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and do a little introduction about you and tell the audience what you're going to be talking about. In the meantime, you can get your screen
Sure.
share set up. Yeah. So we have with us today Sujata. She's going to be talking about trends in cybersecurity. A little bit about Sujata. Sujata is working as a senior computer scientist, to be more specific, in the product and security wing at a company at EdgeWorth. She is a well-experienced cybersecurity professional with over 14 years of IT experience and a certified information security professional. She's passionate about interacting with the women represented in the field of cybersecurity and strives to contribute to the cybersecurity community across the globe. She's a head advocate for women in cybersecurity at National Cyber Defense Research Center. She's mentor and Gurukul trainer for women, Wizards Rule Technology, director for development of Cloud Security Alliance, Bangalore chapter. She's a founding member of B-Sides Bangalore and a co-chair of WCS Women in Cybersecurity. She has received many accolades for her contributions to the cybersecurity community. She was awarded with Women in Tech Mentor of the Year as part of Women Leadership Influencers Award by Kamikaze Media. Sujata, that's a very impressive bio. With that, I'm going to hand the stage over to you. All the best. Over to you.
Thank you so much for that sweet introduction, Aditya. Uh, I would like to appreciate Rochester, first of all, before I go ahead with my talk, uh, who set an example to others who believed in the women power and extending their conference from 2 days to 3 days. Not only that, and adding additional slots which was not planned before, and supporting the women and encouraging the women to come onto the stage and speak up. So really appreciate that. Hello everyone. I'm Sujata. A very warm welcome to all of you for this wonderful Women in Cybersecurity conference by Rochester. My topic for today is trends in cybersecurity, role of a woman. In my today's topic, I will be talking about the computer crime evolution and various crimes in the trending technologies and the security advice about a forgotten truth and a little advice to the young and upcoming cybersecurity professionals. So we all know that with advance in the technology, all the hackers are getting upskilled and they are planting a lot of sophisticated attacks across the globe on day-to-day basis. So it is very important for all the organizations, enterprises, we as a cybersecurity professionals, and all the aspiring cybersecurity professionals to be aware of what are the trends in cybercrime and understanding them, understanding the technology, and deriving the defense to combat these attacks, right? So, with that, I would like to start off my presentation with computer crime evolution. So, a computer crime is classified can be classified as a computer crime when the crime is carried out using just the computer. So this, I can give you an example. You have your friend computer, and if he gives you access, well and good. Otherwise, just take his computer and just bypass the login and get into his computer and take away the data without his knowledge, right? So there is no involvement of network or anything of that sort. If you happen to watch this Snowden movie, the Edward Snowden, how he gets away with the NSA data, and he evades all the security controls and takes the data in that memory card and put it in the Rubik cube and get away with the data to disclose the conspiracy that was happening in NSA, right? Next thing is cybercrime. So cybercrime, we know day in and day out, we have been dealing with this and we understand the cybersecurity attacks around this, happening over the network, right? Now, the new baby, I don't call it as a new baby, but this is the world of AI, filled with AI, right? So AI is helping the cyber criminals are supporting the cyber criminals to plan the attacks in an automated fashion without a human intervention, right? So in my upcoming slides, I'll be talking about more of the cyber crimes that are happening in the trending technologies, and we as a cybersecurity professionals and the aspiring cybersecurity professionals, what we should be doing about it. And also I'll be talking about the AI crimes, good and bad. So to start off with, I would like to start off with this malware evolution. So Creeper is the first virus which was invented in 1970s by Bob Thompson. This is not actually a harmful virus. It was just a pilot, or he just wanted to test the virus. Then came in Reaper, right? So Tomlinson has found antivirus that is also called the first antivirus to contain the Creeper. So finally it was successful and it deleted the Creeper files, right? I mean, these days, a lot of hacks are happening, or the malware attacks are happening, where these are evading the controls that are inbuilt in the antivirus softwares and making their way and getting in, infecting the computers and things like that. Right? So I would like to talk about the most recent way back in 2017, which made headlines across the globe. This ransomware called WannaCry, which infected 3 lakh computers. So we all know what is a ransomware, and this is nothing but it's a virus, or it's a worm. It actually infected these computers and logged all the, or encrypted all the drives or the sensitive information of the users. When the users pay the ransom amount to the hackers in the form of a Bitcoin, so then there is a probability or the chances that the hacker, he or she, might give the key, but that's not guaranteed, right? So what is which factor of a cybersecurity goal is breached in this? It's just the availability aspect, right? So he has only the key, but he don't have the data, right? For you, data is not available. So there is another variant which has come and which made headlines very recently in this year, called Maze ransomware. So I became a little curious to know what is this Maze ransomware, and Cognizant IT company was hit by this Maze ransomware. This is slightly different from the Maze ransomware, and what it does is, first it will extract, once the computer is infected or the server is infected, it extracts all the information from the server and sends it to the hackers controlled servers. So first step, the confidentiality is breached. The second, since the hackers have the data, they can modify it, they can alter it, then they can misrepresent the data to the world. So integrity is breached. Then they will encrypt all your sensitive files and make sure it is not available to you. Only when you pay ransom, it is available to you. It's the availability aspect of the cybersecurity is breached, right? But what is the main cause behind this? The main cause behind this could have been social engineering attack on the internal employees, and they might have clicked on some links and then this got infected. And not only the Cognizant servers, but also the client servers where the sensitive information was holding was breached. In the today world of privacy, GDPR, and lot of penalties coming into the picture, organizations have to spend a lot of money in dealing with these kind of data breaches. So it is very important to understand or be aware of the crimes that are happening in the trending technology, and make sure we take proper controls, right? So if you look at it, it's already spent $70 million in just trying to sort out this issue, but I'm not sure it's still completed, right? So let us take a growth prediction in ransomware and what can happen. So as per in 2019, it was expected that every 14 seconds there can be a ransomware attack possible. By 2021, it is predicted that for every 11 seconds there is a possibility of ransomware happening anywhere across the world, because the absence of geographic boundaries is actually a dangerous thing. You know, this is a dangerous thing, right? So how do you protect this? Make sure the organizations have the...
Hi guys, sorry, we are back. I think we had some technical issues. Now we are back with Sujata. Sujata, you can continue with your last slide.
Yes.
From where I've started? From
The
where
last one. Because it went blank for me, so I was wondering if it happened. You can just start your screen share, I'll tell you.
This one?
IoT devices. You were talking about IoT devices the last. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry for that small technical glitch. Okay. So hackers could get hold of this particular software source code, where they also figured out, the key which used to send commands remotely, or the alerts remotely to these patients to take pills or anything of that sort. So they could get hold of the key, and then using that key, they sent, they used to frequently send the alerts like take pills, because this is designed for the mentally disordered people. They don't know whether they have already taken or they might have forgotten, and they keep taking the pills, and it might endanger their lives, and they can even kill them, right? So make sure we, whenever we design a system, we protect the source code, we protect the keys that are very important. So other hack that happened was this baby monitoring thing, right? So a hacker got into the wireless camera system and used to keep an eye on the baby, and he actually threatened him to kidnap, right? So all these kind of IoT devices are, there are so many IoT devices that are there, but if they are not designed in a secure way, and the consumers who are using it, they're not aware of how to secure it and what kind of password should they use, default passwords, or they should change the default passwords. If the consumers are not aware of how to use this, so then it is a dangerous thing. Can as their for their botnet, and then they can launch a DDoS attacks, right? So let us see the prediction of IoT devices that can by 2025, it is predicted that there will be more than 21 billion IoT devices. Awesome. We should all welcome this. And now that what is the opportunity, what are the things that we have to deal with, right? So there is a lot of scope for cybersecurity professionals in any technology that comes in, right? So how do you protect the IoT devices? The main thing what has been observed across is that the security at the design phase is always missing, and always making sure that you are not using the you're not hard coding the credentials, you are not using the default credentials, right? So making sure you secure your APIs, making sure you store your sensitive information in encrypted format, patch management, so continuous software updates, right? So the next thing, the cloud security hacks. This pandemic, this COVID-19 has taught a very good lesson for all the industries, all the enterprises. It has changed the business dynamics altogether. Everybody, all the organizations, most of them who could afford, They wanted to move their businesses, move their workloads into the cloud. The demand for cloud is increasing. Let us take a recent hack which happened on Wise Labs. So that was a smart home appliances firm, US based firm, right? So it has actually gave away or to the hacker's hand 2.4 million users personally identifiable information. All this happened because the main person who was managing this, or who is running this smart home cameras, they came up with the idea that they can give out at a cheaper price compared to other, and then in the meantime they wanted to move their workloads to the cloud, and they did not know how to use it. And what they did was they did not lock their database. They kept the database unlocked, and that has helped the hackers to get into their server and took away this 2.5 million users data. So I mean, since we are talking about the cameras, that I just when I was googling it, I came across this particular insecurecam.org, where it maintains all the insecure cameras that are there across the globe. So you can just take a look at it and then see, and you can see people, offices, people talking, walking. So all the insecure cameras across multiple ways. I don't know how many ways are there. I just look at the thing. You can just go and take a look at it. And let us see the cloud adoption predictions. So 32% of IT budgets. This is a very recent prediction by Forbes. So 32% of IT budgets will be dedicated to the cloud by 2021. So this is true. This is happening, and the ever demand. There is a lot of demand. It has increased a lot to the cloud, and it is very important for us to embrace this technology, also learn this technology, and know the intricate details about how do we secure these things. So I would like to say one thing. Security is to have expertise on all the technology, all the domains. Cybersecurity is a vast subject. It's a dynamic field. It's an ever-changing field, right? So it is not possible for one individual to have the expertise on one particular technology. But whereas for the organizations, they have to look at the holistic view of the cybersecurity from 360-degree angle. So they have to be very vigilant and alert on all the aspects of cybersecurity, and make sure they protect the cybersecurity goals of confidentiality, integrity, and availability of all their systems, networks, and data. Right. So cloud security measures, yes. So from 3-dimension angle, if you want to look at it, so from management perspective, technology perspective, operations perspective. So apart from this, it is very important to understand which solution provider that you are going to, right? So how do we secure this? What are your, where are your assets which are holding your crown jewels, that is the data, right? So doing a proper threat modeling, doing early discussions on the security by design will actually help you to safeguard this. So not only the hack that I mentioned about this, it was kept, and then, the database was unlocked and hacker could get into it, but there are multiple hacks that are possible if you don't protect your S3 buckets with the proper ACL checks, and if you leave out your AWS keys or anything of that sort, right? If you don't harden your servers, if you do not know how to completely secure your data, and this when you move on to the cloud security, it will actually give you a devastating effect on your enterprise, right? Yes. Robotic process automation. This is very good, and I'm sure most of the enterprises after this pandemic, before this pandemic also there was a momentum, after this pandemic, most of the enterprises are embracing this technology, and they want to save a lot of money. They want to increase, or they want to reduce the time to market by automating many things. So digital workers are increasing, and there is always egg and chicken problem right here. So there will always be human errors, and it can be corrected by this. But if this is something which is not taken care and secured in a proper manner, this can also give you a devastating effect. So robotic process automation is very much embraced by the enterprises, because it can help them in automating the routine, the mundane manual tasks, like payroll or employee onboarding, vendor onboarding, or many such things, right? We know n number of examples that are out there. So one of the hack, I do not want to name the a victim of this. So one of the financial institution left a digital worker mission unlocked, where robo was executing some financial automation process. So a curious minded person on the floor casually went and actually he tweaked the robo operation, and then right, you can imagine the magnitude of damage that has actually caused. So all the reports went haywire. So the financial numbers just changed. It looks silly, but if you do not have proper security mechanisms around monitoring the robo process, it will put you in danger, right? So let us see the growth rate, or the prediction about adoption of robotic process automation. So the figures states very interesting, and it is very this actually tells us, yes, we do have cybersecurity professionals have space to do our best in this field also, right? So we are needed everywhere, and the pandemic has actually shown a ray of hope for all the cybersecurity individuals to get better, to upskill and go forward and take up the dream jobs, right? So security measures, I would like to quickly take a couple of them, which are very important. So securing the password vault is very, very important, because if you're automating some of your client applications, so they actually tend to give you, or the software actually tend to hold the passwords, right? So of those applications, so which has to be maintained very securely. So you can incorporate some password vaults tools like CyberArk, and also making sure that only authenticated and authorized robots are given access to it, and authenticated users and authorized users are given access to creating the robots, deleting the robots, or stopping the robots, for that matter, even assigning the processes, what processes. So it's very in depth at that level. So it's very important. And another last point that I would like to touch upon in this security measures are disable unnecessary services. So for example, I would like to mention that if there is a process executive who is a process owner, assigned to design or create the automation process, right? So that is what gets deployed and assigned to the robot to take up and do the actions. So if there is some unnecessary service or ports are open, so you never know if the checks are not proper. He might actually write a program to actually send some data or critical data, sensitive data out of their network through internet, right? So making sure that secure configurations and disabling the unnecessary services or ports are very, very important. Of course, the compliance part comes into the picture. Yes, AI. It has emerged as a disruptive technology, and it is also the most happening technology in the world today. So we should hear the super technology power from this Elon Musk, who is the tech tycoon, right? So he says so that I fear the dominance of AI. According to him, if AI will go out of control, then humanity will have to suffer. Yes, I agree with him. I mean, the innovation is going at a rapid pace, right? So I was reading a newspaper a couple of days back, I think almost 5 to 6 days back. So we always heard about the driverless car, right? So IBM joined hands with other organization, and they have developed crewless ship, a research ship, just to get around the data around the Atlantic Ocean to do the research activities. So you never know when hackers will get into that and start hacking those things also, right? So it's always evolving. Technology is evolving, cyber crimes are evolving, so we should keep pace with that. So compared to let us take an example of this is pretty old hack called Microsoft Tay, which was the Twitter bot, right? So this was left to learn. It's called reinforcement learning. So it was left to learn from the user responses. So users have played around with that, and they have actually trained the bot to speak all the abusive language, and the bot has learned all that, and it started speaking out back to the people, right? So it's such a shame that reputation loss that has created. That is the Microsoft Day is actually defeating the AI system by modifying or by tweaking or playing around with the models that are used. The latest hack, which happened pretty recently, I think this month or the previous month, late previous month. So Amazon Alexa got hacked. This is nothing to do with defeating the AI systems or the algorithms that are used in that, but there was one of the subdomain was of Amazon Alexa was vulnerable to a cross-site scripting attack. Using that, hackers could do a social engineering attack on a couple of them, and they could fall prey for that social engineering, clicked on this link, and then the hackers got a backdoor, and they could actually delete the skills that they have tried and kept for their own Alexa or the victim's Alexa, and they could also introduce or add new skills to the Alexa. Not only that, whatever commands that they were passing on to Alexa, the victims, so the entire data, hackers had it in their hand. Yeah, so while we embrace the technology, it is very important. How do we protect and secure that also? So talking about this, I don't know. I have in my home, I have Siri. I have my organization gave me Amazon Alexa Echo Dot for one of their anniversary. And in recent hackathon, which was organized by Microsoft, I have got Amazon Echo Show. And then to my recent visit to US, so I did a little bit of shopping, and I think the shopping amount has crossed about 8,000, and the mall had an offer if it crosses so and so amount. So they were I'm sorry. So they were giving Google Assistant, okay Google, for half a price. So I had that also. So I don't know how my data is being tracked, and how much of my data is already there. Right. So my son is a crazy fan of Siri. But while these technologies help you, to ease your work, right? So, but you should also think about the implications of not taking care of the security. So let us talk about the AI good and bad. So let us divide this into 3 categories. So defeating the AI systems, that is breaking into devices which are secured by facial recognition or hacking autonomous driving vehicles, right? So that is defeating the AI systems. So AI also can be used to prevent crimes, right? So AI, it can spot the fraudulent transactions on the financial markets, and it can give you very good insights. So AI to commit crimes. So AI can also be used to commit crimes, right? So, I mean, this is a world of deep fake news everywhere, right? But fortunately, so when I was, reading about this a couple of months back about this deep fake videos where they use that voice synthesis related modeling and, they create this deep fake videos, it is also possible for AI to detect whether it is the real video or fake video. So I'm not sure how much of that research is completed or it is already there. But one of the articles when I was reading, so AI can do wonders. So I think we should embrace this, but also make sure we are trained, we are aware of this, how the technology works, and secure that, right? So let us see the prediction in the global market. So yeah, it is going to increase 42.2% from 2020 to 2027, which is a very good change. We should all welcome and also be ready to secure those, right? So training and awareness on not only this, on all the latest trending technologies is very, very important. So threat modeling is the next thing. So making sure that your auditing is in place, right? Making sure that your authorization checks or any security controls for that matter are in place, right? Also, periodic checks is very important. So AI is not like, once set and forgotten. So it keeps learning from the data, right? So you should always remodel your train your model and keep checking for the latest possible hacks that are coming out, the hackers, I mean the products, right? So compliance is another important thing. The other wave of things as part of this trending cyber crimes in this pandemic, hackers are using phishing scams as one of their weapon and delivering the phishing emails to their outlooks and getting away with the sensitive data. There are a lot of targeted attacks also on this, right? So there is another variant to this, is called international domain name homograph attack. It is very difficult for you to identify if the domain name is almost looking like the same. If you see in EURL, the A used is a Latin. The URL section, the A used is a Cyrillic. If you take a glance and then if you want to identify what this, whether this is a real or fake, you cannot. But what you can do is you can just do a mouse over if possible, and then check where it is actually taking you to. So if you do that, so it will tell you where it is exactly taking you to, and you can be, you can save yourself falling victim for these hackers. But most of the apps, most of the the products that are coming here, the apps also, or the mobiles also, so it will not let you click those links directly, but it will give you as a test. You only have to copy it and put it, but otherwise also you can easily understand by the way the email is looking whether it is really meant for you, whether they are trying to fool you, whether they're trying to lure you with offers. So just be a little vigilant about this and make sure you always report it to the team who is actually handling this in your enterprise, and be safe. Security advice, it's almost, I mean, in the technology evolution, in the cyber crime evolution, it is almost like a forgotten truth for most of the hackers also, I would like to say, and also the ordinary people who are not cybersecurity experts. But this is a real fact, right? So what I wanted to highlight here is that Aaron was a CEO of a HP Gary Federal. He was a hacker by profession. It appears that he has used a same password for multiple of his accounts, and he was actually having the names of this anonymous group of hackers, and he wanted to reveal these hackers to the US government way back in 2011. Very interesting story. So when the hackers got to know that this guy is going to reveal their names, and the group of hackers in very less time, they could attack the HP Gary Federal website brutally. They planted attacks. So I think there was a vulnerability on their website called SQL injection. Through that, they figured out he's admin of so-and-so account, and they could get a hash. And then some of his social media accounts are also having a similar passwords, and using that, and also interconnecting this thing with multiple other weaknesses that are possible on their website. They could penetrate into the systems, and then they could just take out the entire confidential data of HP Gary Federal, and they put it for the public to view. Right? It's a simple thing. It's easy for us to use a simple password, or use the same password, because it will save your life. Right? So you can also say that I can use password manager or password apps like LastPass and things like that, but I'm not here to recommend you to do that, because you might think that LastPass is an app which will help you to just remember that, and the rest everything it will remember. But in one day, if that particular app comes under a scanner of a hacker, your digital life is sealed, so all your passwords are gone. Right? So I recommend you to, in this digital era, anything and everything that we do on the internet, we have to create a sign up. We need to sign up. We need to create a password and remember it. And there is so much happening, and so you will not be able to remember the same thing, and the pattern will also be almost same. So once it is compromised, it is compromised. So you never know the kind of websites that you're browsing might be coming from the hackers as a targeted attack. They might write a creative blog or creative article, and then say, hey, here is my article, why don't you sign up and do it? So you sign up and you create a password. You never know how is your password being stored on that particular website. If it is storing in a plain text, so you don't have a control on it. And if you happen to be a habitual user of using the same password across multiple accounts, you are the victim for the hackers, right? So this is a truth. Why I'm saying is this is not something that I'm cooking up or making up. So the most of the cybersecurity awareness programs that I take across India, so I have seen in the trainings or in the meetings, people, when I ask how many of you are using the same password across multiple accounts, I at least see 4 people out of 10 raising the hands, for the sake of simplicity. Right? So I urge you to use the password phrases, like whatever I put here. So instead of using a simple name and then adding with something, so you can create use of password phrases and create as many complex passwords as possible, and it will be easy for you to remember if you have some kind of decoding pattern applied to it. For example, on the star fruit, if you see, this is something, so you might think at a first glance, can I remember this? Can I, how many of this like this I can have for multiple accounts, right? But it's a simple thing. So if I tell you, you will actually, smile and say this: twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are up above the. So that is the decode for this, right? So I'm not saying that you have to use this. So you have your favorite phrases out and you can use it, but I have to tell you the fact. If I tell you with the facts, you will believe it. So when I was taking part of when I was part of the responsible disclosure programs outside, so one of the Dutch government website that I was trying to check whether that is vulnerable or not, one of this VNG International website was actually they have this admin login exposed, and I got hold of the user list of admin users on this particular website. And then when I got to know that the user names of that administrators of that particular website, then I tried to use the username, and then I tried to use the generic passwords that are out there, but did not work. But what I did is I used the same username as a password, and it just accepted. It just accepted. So this is just 3 years back, and I'm not saying it is not gone anywhere. So these kind of things are there many places even today. So those days it was crazy for all the cybersecurity professionals to get a certificate like t-shirt like this. So I hacked so if you report some vulnerability as part of the responsible disclosure, so they used to give the Dutch government used to give a t-shirt like this. I hacked the Dutch government, and all I got was this lousy t-shirt. So I just wanted to quote with the facts so that you will remember. So why I'm saying this again, practice of browsing through various websites and giving out your password, and if that password is getting stored in plain text, and if you are one of the users, so there is a lot of data. I mean, I don't know how much size of data is already available in the dark web. So hackers gets this data, collects this data, and trade it in the dark web. So one of this recent, thing which happened some 3-4 months back. So BEML, Bharat Electric Movers Limited. So their data was seen on the dark web. So you can see that their old passwords, new passwords, such a simple things, but yet, right? So do not have a same password across multiple accounts, which is very important. So now coming back to what is our responsibility as a cybersecurity professionals in this trending technologies and their related crimes? Yes, so we have a very great responsibility on our hands. So one must understand what are the basic cybersecurity responsibilities, cybersecurity professionals' responsibilities. There are many, but I would like to take one and then talk about it. So the main responsibility of a cybersecurity professional is to protect the nation, protect the world, protect himself or herself, protect his or her family from all the cybersecurity attacks. So you have to in order to do that, you need to have knowledge, or you should be in a position to embrace these technologies and details about it, and also make sure you secure them, right? So it is very important to upskill ourselves in the relevant technologies. So I mean, there is no one stopping you in today's world. The resources are just out there, it's just at a click away. So you might be in a position to or a dilemma where to go, how to go, and what to do and all. I'll give you a quick tips about it, so then we can go to the other topics quickly. So resources to upskill. So this is the Women Wizards Rules Tech. This is an initiative by NASSCOM. So for all this is very helpful for all the working professionals. If you are working on a different domain, and if you have plans to move to the cybersecurity, not only cybersecurity, to any other technology, emerging technology, if you want to become a part of it, so they are giving trainings and extensive trainings, the marathon sessions on various technologies. I think the companies have to tie up with the NASSCOM, and then only you'll be eligible to be part of this. And so you get to upskill yourself, or they are running this very systematically in a structured manner, and you can become one of them. I think I have seen the people attending this program globally, right? So then ISC Square is another place where you can get certified and to showcase to the industry that you at least have the knowledge, and you know the things about the cybersecurity, and you are just waiting for the opportunity. But yeah, you can always seek internship opportunities to get into to get the hands-on experience and things like that, right? So I wanted to take this Rochester thing because last couple of days I attended the conference. I at least seen a couple of women expressing that they got benefited from this, and they have their role models, they have their mentors and gurus from this. And I think you should take a look at it and then try out the kind of offerings that they are giving. And there are plenty of other online resources that are there, right? So make sure you just go ahead and but I know you will get stuck at one point, but let me clear all your doubts that are coming now. So other silent tips for success in this cybersecurity or the emerging trending technology is that pursue your dreams. So if you want to grab a particular technology, or if you want to focus your direction in the cybersecurity, just stay focused. Then I think if you are attending conferences, what it gives you is that, you know, all the latest research that is happening. So you'll get to know the latest happenings around the world. So it's better to attend the cybersecurity conferences. So contributing and volunteering to the cybersecurity communities will also give you visibility to network with the professionals who are already in this profession, right? So helping others is a very important thing. If you learn something, you teach somebody, and you will become an expert, right? So respect others' time is very, very important. So if somebody is helping you, respect them. So it's always give and take, right? So don't, the main thing that I want to tell you is don't compare yourself with others. So others have a different IQ level, others have a different opportunities, others have different things to deal with. So if you compare with them, so you will never succeed. So know your strengths, right? That's very important. Know your strength and work on those strengths. So one advice that I wanted to give here is that do not go by the likes or the comments or that are coming in your way in the form of this virtual world called LinkedIn, social media, Twitter, right? So it is always because they are seeing you from 1,000 feet away. So they do not know what exactly you are, right? So but if the little thing that you are celebrating, so they want to encourage you, they want to support you. But always knowing your strength is always very important, right? Then speak up. This is, voice out your opinions anywhere. It could be in your personal life, or it could be at your office friend. So voice out your opinions. That's very important. Create your own brand image. So I agree with this. I wanted to second this, because you should have your own brand image. You should not copy others. Then only you will know who you are. So people will know who you are, who really you are, how authentic you are, right? So any small celebration, anything that you achieve something, or discovered something, or did something, or spent your time on something, so celebrate it, showcase to the team, but just don't get staggered there. So keep moving on. Then if you are stuck, which direction to go, always make sure you seek mentorship opportunities. So meet your mentor, tell her or him what are your needs. I would like to proudly say that, and I have mentors like Sumit, Satish, Ashok, and I was inspired and motivated by my little teammates, or the young teammates that I can call, like Venkatesh and Vishal. So they do crazy stuff out there. So spread positivity is very important. So with this, I would like to bring one particular feedback, or one particular thing which was given by Nitya Garag. So she was one of our Vice's Bangalore chapter lead. So her name got listed in Epic Women in Cyber. And then she was mentioning about her role models, or people who had helped her. So this is what she has written about me. She leads I mean, you can just read it up. So it feels nice when people like this, takes you as an inspiration. And also there are many people approaching on LinkedIn, asking them to guide, mentor, and lead, I mean, help them in whatever possible way that I can. And I'm taking that and helping. So I think the Rochester organizers, since the time I am associated and talking to them, they have motivated enough all the speakers to share their success stories to motivate the women in the field of cybersecurity. So I thought I would like to give a very brief very brief about my journey into the cybersecurity. If I tell this, you will know that anything is possible by anybody, right? So to start off with, yeah, I have not started my career in the field of cybersecurity. So I was part of a quality assurance group in a couple of companies. So I can proudly say that Infosys has laid a strong foundation for my cybersecurity career, and I was given an opportunity to explore and implement the application security program at Infosys. And I was new to this, and I had to depend a lot on the the self study and online resources. And then I did that, and I showed some results. And then after that, we had amazing leaders and mentors taking up and helping, and setting this entire program successfully. And then we moved on to a product company called Edgeor. So this, I was talking about, setting up the program for a incubation unit that was there in Infosys way back in 2010 around, 2011 around, right? So now we are part of Edgeor. It feels so nice, and this is then from there, with all the inspiring leaders like Sumit Dar, our journey has started. My journey has started, and I became fascinated about this cybersecurity field. And I am right now passionate about encouraging more women to take up this, cybersecurity related positions. And we have seen many of our speakers talking about why women is the right fit into this cybersecurity, right? So I'm part of these programs. I just started this besides Bangalore security conference, which is yet to launch. I think we have to find a good date for this. And this Voices is one of the ISO initiatives India. So I'm one of the co-chair, and we used to organize a lot of events for women. We used to invite global speakers, online and physical events. We have done a lot of physical events. We conducted CTFs, and we did so much. And then we are actually waiting for the society to form and then take a swing back. And then I'm also part of this Women Wizards Rule Tech as a tech guru and one of the mentor for them, and in the field of cybersecurity. So I mean, if your organization is part of this NASCOM, and if you want to enroll for this, you can always approach them and then see what is. Another thing is National Cybersecurity, NCDRC, National Cyber Safety and Security Standards. It's also called, it's a sub-wing called NCDRC, National Cyber Defense Research Center. So I really like this because it has put a lot of efforts in making sure that the cybersecurity knowledge reaches the tier 2 and tier 3 cities in India. So I mean, most of the knowledge or the reach to the tier 1 city students is very much there, and they are very good at picking up the technologies, and they have access to everything. But this remote areas, and so because of that, so they don't have much of exposure to this, and they always wanted to learn many things in this, right? So I would like to quote one small incident from this. During my recent visit to one of the remote college in Dindigul, not Dindigul, near Salem. So the time slot that they fixed for the guest lecture was very limited. But after the session was ended, so I see many women, very girls coming and asking me, "Ma'am, this was very nice and it was very short, but we wanted a hands-on session." So there is a lot of opportunity for you to go and encourage and train them and teach them. If any one of you are interested, you can join me. I can connect you with the right people and we can do things. And this is one of my recent collaboration with CSA Bangalore. I was selected as one of the directors for their overall chapter development. So I'm looking forward to do many things in this, and we have a research paper coming in by a lot of experts out there. If any of you would like to volunteer for this, you can join us, and we can contribute to this field positively. And this is the picture that I've taken from the Women in Tech Mentor Award that I received in Mumbai. Okay, so since I told my story about this, so why are you waiting for? So there's also statistics says that they need women, and the ISC Square research says that most of the women are better educated than men, and they are also taking the leadership roles than men in this particular industry. So, and also the representation is very low, so make sure you grab these opportunities, and there is so much opportunities for women out there. There are 3.5 million jobs that are expected by 2021, but I think this study was done very long back. I think with this pandemic coming in, I think it might have gone up even more. So with that, I would like to conclude my today's session. Thank you very much, Rochester, for having me and giving me this platform to share my views with all the global audience out there.
Hi, Sujata.
Hi, Aditya.
Okay, thank you for that very, I would say, detailed session on some of the latest threats that we are facing, whether it's COVID or some of the generic threats that generally happen. We talked about weak passwords and all of that. So we do have a couple of questions from the audience. So
Yeah, sure.
basically, the question was, is it safe for companies to outsource critical security controls?
Outsource critical security controls.
Yeah.
So it is always dependent on what kind of critical security controls that you are outsourcing. So that means they mean to say that implementing getting those security controls implemented by third party.
Okay, I'm not too sure that was all that they asked in the question. Anyway, we'll move on to the next question. According to IBM, 40% of mobile apps are not tested by the developers at source. Are the developers not aiding cybercrimes in that case?
Sorry, are the developers or?
So basically, according to an IBM survey, 40% of mobile apps are not tested by the developers at source. Does that not mean that developers are aiding cybercrime by doing something like that?
No, it's not the responsibility of the developers, right? So you should have a system in place to ensure that if I'm talking from an organizational point of view, right? So make sure that you have your apps tested and then release it. But you should have your regular frequent periodic security checks that are happening on this, and another thing, the latest mobile security related hacks, right? And also getting it tested from external third party vendors is very much important. So it doesn't mean that they are not doing it, but they are not enabled to do that. So it's our organization's responsibility to enable them and make them understand the importance of adhering to the cyber security related controls, right? So give them knowledge about the secure coding practices related to the mobile application. So make sure it is they are implementing this, and you do the checks and make sure you are always delivering the secure apps.
Thank you for that, Sujata, and pointing out that it's the responsibility is on the organization and not the individual developers. So that I think we are done with the questions. Thank you so much, Sujata, for coming on and sharing your views with us and coming and telling us, especially our women audience, some of the tips and platforms available to them to continue their career in cybersecurity. Thank you so much, Sujata. It was a pleasure having you. And as always, please stay safe.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Stay
Thank you.
safe, stay
Bye-bye.
secure.
Okay, so with that, we are at the end of, that was our last speaker for our conference. Before we end, I'm just going to hand it over to Sumi to do a little vote of thanks.
Thank you, Aditya. You've been wonderful throughout the day. Ever since we began, the Rochester Reinvent Conference has grown from strength to strength with excellent contributions from sponsors, participants, certified professionals, students, and well-wishers across the globe. This year, following a successful run at the Reinvent Cybersecurity Conference in June, our CTO, Mr. Haja Mohideen, came up with this wonderful theme of having a cybersecurity conference exclusively for women. Rochester has always been inclusivity and empowerment of women. And I'm a true witness for that. So thank you, Rochester. Personally, I want to thank Mr. Haja Mohideen. Today, we wrap up 3 days of inspiring and highly motivational knowledge-sharing sessions delivered by our esteemed women speakers. It's an honor and privilege to propose the word of thanks on behalf of Team Rochester. To begin with, I would like to thank our CTO, Mr. Haja Mohideen, and our CEO, Mr. Vasant Davis, for bringing this unique concept and also for continuously believing, supporting, educating, and empowering the cause of women. Reinvent Cybersecurity Conference for Women would not have been possible without the amazing, inspiring, and engaging sessions contributed by each of the 30 accomplished women speakers who had dazzled with CFW conference stage. A sincere thanks to each one of you. We acknowledge with gratitude the support of our sponsors and partners. A special thanks to Gemraj Technologies Limited, TechSeed, Tech UK, AIMICT, Cyber PSY, our well-wishers, Ms. Subela Bhatia, Mr. Sunil David, and Mr. Rama Murthy. And we are not stopping here. We'll be reaching out to each one of our speakers and sponsors to address and support women in cybersecurity to bring about a change in the community. The word of thanks will not be complete without thanking my colleagues, without whom hosting this conference would not have been possible. A big shout out to Team Rochester, the men who have continuously supported us, and of course to my women colleagues who have made CFW a huge success. Thank you all once again for being a part of this incredible 3-day journey and for all your support and grace. So take care and be safe and stay safe.
Once again,
Thank you.
We thank our audience for joining us. Before I leave, a little bit of an announcement. Please wear your masks. Please practice social distancing. Together, all of us can beat this virus. And hopefully, for the next conference, we can meet each other in person and not on a virtual platform. With that, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody. I'll see you at the next conference.
Thank you. Bye.